staring at the bottom, popping, I can see treasure. All this gossip talking come across. I could be a psychedelic, stimulate your mind to a high percentage. You look me in the eyes, promising you'll never leave me. Picture frame is crooked, you can knock the round straight. No need a stupid. What the fuck am I meant to do when there's no one really by my side? So mama, please don't you cry.
Well, welcome to the show, man.
Glad to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited, man.
Mate, I'm excited as well. I've been listening to your music, man, and I can tell you, man, it is quite inspiring to see.
Really?
What is the main motivation behind your music, and where are you going with your music in terms of direction and vision?
Well, that's a huge question. But so my main motivation is just basically what I experience in life. You know, it's just like the day-to-day life, and whatever I'm going through, I sometimes end up bottling it up, and I have to find some other way to release it.
Like a cathartic way to express it instead of bottling it up.
Yeah, exactly. I have to express it, and you know, sometimes I don't just want to sit down and just talk about it. I want to do something creative, and music was my outlet for that. So it's just like, it feels good to be able to sit down and just try and understand these emotions that I'm feeling and try and put it into words and rhymes and such. And just paint a picture for other people to understand. So if they were to listen to it, then they understand exactly what I'm trying to portray and what I'm trying to say and what I'm expressing, and hopefully they can relate to it too. Some people might not be able to relate to it, but if my music can make them relate to it somewhat, even though it might not have experienced it, then that's something powerful, because it's like they're able to walk into my shoes without ever having to go through that. And that's something that's very powerful when it comes to film and music in general, just because it can put you in places where you've never experienced,
you
but
otherwise never would have seen or heard of.
Yeah, and you learn something from it, and that's the biggest thing about when I approach music. I have to do that. And in terms of direction and such, I don't necessarily think too much into the future as I used to. Like right now, I'm just more focused on just expressing myself. I used to be really hooked onto, okay, this is the next step, then I gotta do this step, then I gotta do this step. But out of my experience, it doesn't actually go that way.
Never.
Sometimes you take those few steps and you end up taking a different route. And I don't want to get too hooked on following these steps, otherwise I'm just cutting myself out of opportunities, you know? And you grow and develop as an artist when you're going through it. And I'm against having to be like, no, it has to be this way. You have to keep going this way, you know? Otherwise...
It's interesting you say that, because it's similar to the podcasts.
Yeah.
So in terms of this setup, you know, what we're doing right now. So this was in the making, the show. So it started off me personally, I first started off with a cooking show where I was interviewing musicians.
Oh, really?
We went out nightclubbing, and I thought, you know, but we ended up it went well, but you know, they all got pretty drunk and pretty rowdy, as musicians do.
Yeah.
But then I was like, okay, sweet. It's, you know, that trial and error, and you know, I thought I was going to be getting a food show and a cooking show, but then I'm now sitting here in a podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
So
it's about taking action.
know.
Yeah, it's about taking action, and when you take daily action, you end up getting led towards the right path for you. You don't actually have to get stuck on being attached to an outcome, per se.
100%. That is exactly the way I see it. Because you know, why do you want to get stuck into one direction when, you know, you have all these opportunities getting thrown at you? Just work with what you have and go with that.
Yeah, and you work in film as well.
Yeah, exactly. I never actually planned on doing film at all. But along the way, when we were doing all these music videos and such, I was like, you know, this is not that bad. And
I got ideas.
I got ideas and everything. This is I love Quentin Tarantino, Stanley Kubrick, you know. Why the hell not? You know, why don't I try and show my own?
You may not know this, but me and Ricardo are actually making a film together.
Oh, I've heard little step bits here
Yeah,
and
so
there. I'm
he's
really
basically
interested to hear more about
he's
it.
the writer. And do you remember our first meeting?
Yes.
Do you remember
I
my
somewhat
reaction?
remember it.
Do you remember my reaction at our first meeting?
It was like, I love you. I kid you not, that's exactly it. I was just like, oh, hell yeah.
Because like the reason why, man, it is inspiring. It's inspiring shit, man. Like seeing, like, you know, because you're working with different people. Obviously, every project's new. You've got new people, but then like to like meet you at first glance and then just instantly connect. It's like, okay, this guy knows my vision. This guy knows the direction I'm going at. I just thought that I was just like, you know what, like. I seldom say it, but I'm gonna say it, and I think I impulsively said it as well. It came out of my mouth, and then I was like looking, and I was like, man, I'm glad I said that, because now we have a secret project, and we've almost
so
finished.
Top
anymore.
It's top secret.
No one can know about it.
The name shall stay mysterious, but it is going to be juicy. It's going to be a good time.
Yeah, I think that actually there is a thing called a creative soulmate. You know, when you meet someone that's like totally on your level when it comes to your creative endeavors, and you meet them, it's like, oh my God, they get it.
Oh, it's the best feeling ever. Because, like, you just know this is, like, set in stone. This is who I can go to all the time.
Yeah,
you know,
and you
if
feel
we need to work on
comfortable.
things.
You're not comfortable with everyone you work with. I've been in studios where I'm just like, this is not working, man. You know, this is not good. And you just don't go back.
Yeah, exactly.
Bad time when that happens. It's
Yeah,
a
it
bad time.
sucks.
Yeah.
It stops happening, I think, as you get older. The more experience you have, you start to your gauge like gets a little bit more on point. So you learn to read
there's
people.
that. It's basically like, especially when you're young coming into this. So there's there's two ways. Some people make it big young, but then that's what I've noticed. It's a freaking very rare few that
So
make it.
rare.
And they end up like Drew Barrymore
Yeah.
fucked up by Hollywood. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
not exactly good.
But then if it's like, trial and error, man, like I'm a firm believer that the more that you fail, the more better you are at your craft, man. Like failure, and a lot of people say this, man, that failure really
Oh,
is.
absolutely. It's actually
thing.
a sign that you're doing something. Like if you're scared to fail, then you pretty much should just not get up in the morning.
That's the biggest obstacle. It prevents so many people from doing this.
Yeah.
It's because, like, they spend so much time, like, it has to be perfect. It has to be this way. I need to come in and it's going to make them love me, you know?
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, that's just not reality. Because, like, you're new. You're completely new to this. When you step into it, you have to accept the fact that you're going to fail. And once you fail, you need to smile about that. You need to be happy about that. Because you go, all right, sure, I've embarrassed myself. You know what I mean? I've embarrassed
Hopefully not.
the shit out of myself. But, you know what I mean? There's like always benefits to it. There's always benefits to it. Because the thing is, one, you're going to learn your mistake. And, you're most likely not going to repeat it. If you do, you're going to learn it again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're going to have to work on it.
It's kind of like relationships. How many times can you fucking fuck that shit up? I mean,
Exactly. You can't.
Let me count.
Like, who really ends up with a perfect relationship the
No, my
first
God,
time
there's
around?
no such thing. It's
Yeah.
like right now, like I think that we're all just, getting to know each other. Like, I mean, you can't have any attachment to outcomes like what we were talking about before. It's just like a forever changing, evolving thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're not a god. You're not perfect.
Oh, well, are we not gods? Weren't we just talking about that earlier?
Yeah.
Like being like, because God is us and so we are creators,
God is
right?
the universe to me.
Yeah,
It's just the universe.
yeah.
God, like, all right. There's many interpretations you can go with that, though. Like, to me, a woman can be a god. She
Goddess.
creates life, does she not?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like,
That's some deep stuff, man.
I know,
Yeah,
but we are creators now.
Deep stuff going on.
But in each
going down.
reality, you are the creator. You can create things within your life, so therefore aren't you a god? Because God is creation. And
well, yeah, that's cool. That's true. But like, for me though, it's just like I'm using whatever the universe is providing for me. God, in my opinion, is strictly just the universe giving me all the tools that I
An
need.
all-encompassing
You know?
kind of, yeah.
It gives me everything that I need in order to survive, in order to create things, in order to like build connections with other people. And the reason why I say,
Humble, I like that.
yeah, and we're all, in my opinion, are connected to this universe. And that's like, that to me is why the universe is God, because we are all part of the universe.
Man.
And that makes us all God, like you say.
Yeah.
Very similar, kind of similar. I'm about to drop Disney in here. I'm about to drop Disney in here.
Hell yeah, bring it on.
Get in there. Everyone
Mate, one of my favorite movies, and it's totally relatable to this, is basically Pocahontas. Pocahontas is one of my favorite movies.
Oh my God, I love it.
Reason being, it is a movie where it talks.
I've never seen it.
You've never seen
I've
it?
never seen
My
it.
God, get in
Educate me.
So
Educate me.
basically, the core theme of it is that basically we're all connected to each other. I even think I just quoted one of the songs in there. But basically, there's part of the movie where she talks about, you know, basically how, and oh man, I don't know how to say this, but you know, we're sensitive times these days. But basically, the character John Smith sees the land, and he sees, okay, what can I pillage from this? What can
opportunity
I
as opposed to,
Whereas
no ownership.
where she teaches the fact that, like, you know what, like, rather than seeing it this way, I want you to look at it from this perspective, how I see things. Yeah. You know, and she talks about how the animals, everything within the universe, when all living beings, they're all connected to each other. And they're all like brothers and sisters, and that's one thing like I took from that, being, you know, coming from a religious perspective myself, like in terms of my faith, I'm just like, man, this is so true. Like, all beings are connected to each other, and if
everyone has a right to be here.
Yeah.
Everyone
Everything,
does,
and everyone they're just as important as everything else. We're all important in the big expansion of, you know, this reality.
Yeah.
Man, that's
true.
That's some inspiring shit, man.
So can I ask some questions about you moved here from South Africa when you were in 2004, right? Is it?
I think I moved here either 2004 or 2005.
What was the transition like? Like,
from what I can remember, I don't actually know. Like, it's crazy.
Has apartheid played any part in your life in any way? Like,
What else?
The apartheid, the whole.
Oh,
which
yeah,
means actually
that.
in translation is separateness.
Yeah.
So what?
I didn't even know that was a thing. When I was young, my parents have because it was such a dangerous country. It was very dangerous, and they try to keep me wrapped up in this beautiful world.
They do that, a little bubble.
But I've always wondered why my parents wouldn't let me run out in the streets and such, you know. And I always thought like, oh, there's something that we needed to do, you know? Like maybe it's like dinner, or my parents wanted me to help them out with something. I don't know.
Funny that they don't explain. It's like punishing a child without telling him why.
Yeah.
It's like just giving, you know, direction without reason.
Oh, yeah, that's true. But I think like mainly, my parents didn't want me every day to think like this danger.
Yeah.
To see life as hostile. They did warn me, you know, like every time. Sometimes my mom just needed to go to the ATM straight away. And I'm in the car and everything. Windows are down, it's all good, you know, I'm not in there in the heat, so no one has to worry about that, you know? But I remember one time she would just say to me, listen, be careful. You know, if anyone comes up, you just yell or something like that. My mom went straight to the ATM and she would draw something out. But there was one time that was, like, I was so ignorant. It's just me and my brother in the car, and this guy came up and he's like, oh, your mom needs change. She can't buy her groceries, you know? That change in the box there, like, just near the seat there, you wanted it so you can give it to my mom. I was just ignorant. I was like,
did you give it to him?
yeah, I was like, oh, I need to help mom. You know what I mean? She needs to pay those groceries. So I grabbed all that change, gave it to the guy, and he ran off.
Oh, that's so sweet. That shows a really nice part of your character. You're a sweetheart.
I was like, and I thought like, yes, I saved mom. You know, I saved my mother. But then like 3 nights later, we were going out, you know, to Macca's or something. And then, you know, my mom was like, I swear I've had change, because we're trying to pay for parking. She's like, there was change right over here. Where is it? I was just like, oh, I gave it to that guy to help you pay for the groceries. My mom was like,
what?
What guy? What guy?
what?
Yeah.
I was just like,
Crazy.
yeah.
See, I couldn't even imagine that happening here. Like,
But then, like, it's what I find interesting is, like, obviously, like, South Africa, as you were saying, is quite a rough place. And I've noticed, like, especially South Africans that, you know, they come over to Australia, come over to New Zealand, they are by far, like, one of the most happiest people, one of the most friendliest,
super grateful.
kindest people.
Yeah. They drive real fast though.
Yeah.
Often go through red lights.
But-
Rain stop, and it's like, dude, you're not in South Africa anymore. Like, you can stop at a red light.
Yeah, what
But do you think?
Bloody
Do you
South
think? Do you think that that's, you know, because they've come from such a rough place, that they, you know, that's their niceness is a way of showing some form of gratitude?
You know, I can't speak too much about this because I don't come across that many South Africans myself. So
But the thing is, you just gave us a really good example.
Yeah.
Like, not a lot of people have experienced that. So right there, like, you may actually have a little bit of a more experience than you really know.
yeah.
So we couldn't even imagine that here. Australia, we're just like literally still the lucky country, even though we're kind of getting a bit shit. We're still
Yeah.
lucky.
I love this country.
Yeah, it's
I
great.
really do. I love it so much because, like, you know, I've heard stories where people just gone to like London, anywhere in England, and then they tell me it's rough. Like, we have no idea how good we have it here. Like,
Yeah.
We got it.
they go there.
We got it good up
We
in
got it
here.
good.
We got it
good.
good.
They work in their asses off for only like $10 an hour.
Oh my God, the idea of getting $5 an hour just blows my mind, man. Like, I don't
Exactly.
even get out of bed for less than like $50 an hour, and I'm retired.
Yeah, like,
I don't work.
you break your leg, you don't have to worry about paying for the
Yeah.
ambulance. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
it's very
that
different.
end is covered, you know, you don't have to stress about that.
Well, mate, it was good to have you on the show.
Yeah, wrapping
Awesome.
it up here.
We're wrapping
Oh,
it up.
really?
We're wrapping it up, man.
Awesome, all good.
But it was good to have you on the show,
Yeah,
man.
thanks so much.
Thank you very
Um,
much for
Mighty.
inviting me.
Well, yeah, it's interesting, right? You know, in terms of what we were saying, in terms of the direction that we're supposed to be going in, talking about your music, we ended up
Yes.
totally talking about something different.
So the new releases that you're working on at the moment, just to
Oh, well,
cap it off.
right now we're currently working on something a bit more psychedelic. So it's very different to my previous music. So I want to take this a whole different direction because, like, I don't know, with my last project, like, I spent so much time on that. But the thing is, the issue was, like, I don't think I really knew who I was as an artist. So
Well,
I was
how old
like,
are you actually? We haven't.
oh, I'm 23 right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're just a
23.
baby. You're just a
Just a
wave.
baby.
Silly.
Mate,
Like, I've been writing songs for that project
Well, it's
since high
exciting.
school and
It's
such.
exciting
so,
to see where your career's going. I'm
yeah,
excited
we're
to see.
really looking forward
Yeah.
to it. Well, feel free to come back on the show, man.
Yeah.
But
100%.
I guess we'll wrap it up, man. We'll wrap it up with a bit of a toast.
All right.
A bit of a toast there. Get
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, we
There
got
you go. You guys on the drinks, I'm on the water.
healthy man, you know.
Cheers, bro.
Sweet.
Well, good. Thanks.
All good.